So this from J.W. Van Heerden. When will you direct another film, Stephen? It's been too long since Bright Young Things.
Well, that's very. I take it as a compliment. I really enjoyed making Bright Young Things. If I had my time again, I would have been braver and stronger and less biddable. I think one of the things I've noticed amongst almost all the directors I've worked with of any weight, and I've been lucky enough to work with people like Robert Altman and Stephen Frears and John Schlesinger and Fred Skepsey, and some really fine directors. And they're all charming people, but stubborn. You know, they had to get their way, and I'm not stubborn, and I think that's a bit of a failing in a director in a strange kind of way. I'm very anxious to please, and even if I see a slightly wrong thing, I think, well, everyone wants to move on, and you know, it's ridiculous. You know, you have to be something of a perfectionist. I mean, you know, of course, we've all had stories of those who take it so far as to be kind of almost pathological, like Stanley Kubrick, but then look at Stanley Kubrick's body of work and you say, well, if that's the price to be paid for being pathologically perfectionist, well, we've all benefited from it. Maybe his wife and family and he himself didn't benefit from it, but the world of cinema did. And I suppose, if I'm honest with myself, I know I was not put on this earth to be a director. I'm not a leader of people. But I love storytelling, and if there were a story that was personal to me that I wanted to direct, or that I just felt I could make a difference, I could direct it in a way that others couldn't, then I'd be happy to. When you first direct a movie, you're obviously trying to take advice from directors you know, and I remember asking John Schlesinger, the now late John Schlesinger, and he said, well, dear, he said, what I'm going to tell you is going to sound rather stupid, but it's absolutely true. He said, the most important thing in directing is preparation. And by preparation, I mean, of course, endless meetings with the heads of the departments of design and costume, with the camera people, and the casting, and the script. And if you get all that right, of course, that's the most important. He said, but of course, in directing, the most important part is when you're on the set with the actors actually filming it, because that's what's going to be the film. So that's clearly the most important part. But without any question, the most important part of filming is post-production. Those are all true statements. And of course, it's right. Each stage you're in is the most important part, is the one that makes it. And if you haven't done the preparation, it's pointless when you're on the set. But there are some. Fred Skepsey told me, I can't remember who the director was, but he basically, some old director who just, once he'd prepared it, he would just sit in a chair and basically let the first director do everything, because it was all in the casting and it was all in the conferences he'd had and the technical records he'd had with his cameraman.
The theory was that Hitchcock worked like that. That Hitchcock had everything so clearly storyboarded, everything so clearly planned out, that he could sit on set without having to do very much. And everyone, I mean, hence all the debate about whether or not Saul Bass actually directed the shower sequence, because by the time they got to the set, it was a matter of tab A into slot B.
Yes. Exactly, they knew what it was going to be. And nowadays, of course, you know that George Lucas has this technique that he believes there is nothing that a human being can do that can be filmed that hasn't already been filmed. So that instead of storyboarding with an artist now, you storyboard with previous scenes from other films.
Is that what he does?
Yeah, so he literally, so you get the whole film is already there. Only, of course, part of it will be from someone comes into a room aggressively and sits down and stares across at someone, looking left to right. He has enough researchers to go, and they will find there will be some film. It'll be from Executive Suite, say. There's a moment where Barbara Stanwyck walks through and looks at William Holden. And then you cut to the reverse, but that will be from the man who shot Liberty Valance or Mary Poppins. But the fact, and then there'll be aerial shots, and they all exist. And that's his storyboard. And everybody has access to that, to say that's that scene, that's that shot.
Well,
then you replace it as you go along.
I found that a little bit disheartening, though. Would you think that?
Yeah, does that not surprise you?
Here's what you've got to do a film. By the way, it's all been done before. Is it okay, Stephen, if we keep on saying hello to you for the next 10 years? Would that be okay? Because when we remember, we still say hello to you every week, along with Jason and Aunt David. So that's okay, is it, with you?
So happy to be part of this 10-year experiment.
exactly what it is. Just some more listeners' questions just while you're with us. Just on the Dam Busters. Is the dog still with us, and does the dog have a different name?
Trigger.
Well, yeah. I mean, basically, I thought Digger, because
Digger
is in lip sync terms means you can do what you like.
Right.
Whereas Trigger with
But
Digger.
Is he not dubbed as Trigger in the later video versions of that film?
There are some where he is and some where he isn't.
Okay.
I think there's no question in America that you could ever have a dog called the N-word.
Yes.
It is no good saying it was the Latin for black, and it didn't have the meaning it has now. You just can't go back. It's unfortunate. I mean, that you can go to R.F. Scampton and see his grave, and there he is with his name, and it's an important part of the film, partly because it seemed like such a bad omen just before the raid began. Guy Gibson's dog is run over, and in fact, in the film, they have the driver just drive off, and in fact, he was distraught and came back and carried him in. Not that matters particularly, but also the name of the dog was a code word to show that the Myrna Dam had been successfully breached. So you're constantly hearing going N-word, N-word, N-word. Everyone's going hooray, N-word. There's a whole scene in which Barnes Wallis is punching the air and everybody's thrilled and shouting N, and obviously that's just not going to happen.
So is it Digger?
Digger seems okay, I reckon. Yeah, and the music is the other question people ask, and I always said there are two musics in the Dam Busters. One is obviously the Eric Coates March, which is wonderful and sublime, and the other is the sound of the Merlin, the Rolls-Royce Merlin engines on the Lancaster, which is just. And I actually was thinking the trailer could actually be pitch blackness almost, with just the odd gleam, which you couldn't quite make out, and then the starting up of these motors, these extraordinary engines, just getting louder and louder and louder, and just as light was seeping into the air, and then off. It is just the most magical sound.
A couple of listeners' questions. Someone who tweets as Swindon-centric, and I'm sure they could have come up with a slightly better name. It's been you are the voice coming out of a seat. You and Miranda
Beg your
Hart.
pardon?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Somewhere in Norfolk.
In Norfolk, in Felbrigg, yes.
Right,
yeah.
OK. Well, Swindon-centric says, whose voice would Stephen be terrified to find emanating from a bench he happened to sit on?
I think, Brian, bless it! Don't come down! Gordon's alive! It would be thrilling to have Brian Blessed. Yes, it's this thing for the National Trust, which I agreed. I have a connection. I grew up in Norfolk, and the house, in particular, Felbrigg House. Felbrigg House is gorgeous, and I've filmed there a couple of times. I don't know if you ever saw Michael Winterbottom's Cock and Bull story.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's a good film, isn't it?
I think his best.
Bit in it. I agree with you, and some of it was shot there. And when I was a boy, it was lived in by an eccentric historian called Ketten Creamer, and I went to a sale of some of his books after he died, and they formed the basis of some of the books that have meant most to me in my life. And I was so the place means a great deal to me. It's a beautiful, beautiful house, and the idea is that you're wandering around the garden and you're looking at the house, and you can do the normal tour and plug in things, and I dare say do it with your smartphone as well. But you can also just sit on a bench. You can choose a non-speaking bench, obviously, if you're of a nervous disposition. You can sit on a bench and just get a little bit of a talk about
talking bottoms.
Yeah, about the garden.
An extraordinary thing. Did you see the really lovely ad which Alan Rickman put in the trade papers, just basically thanking? He said he had just that moment finished his last voiceover, and so he's got nothing to do with Snape ever again. But he was just thanking Joanne Rowling for everything, and how she had managed to persuade him to take the role. And it was something in an answer which she gave him that implied that Snape was not just a two-dimensional. He was not just a horrible baddie. That actually there was something more in the character.
There is a pain in him, isn't there?
Exactly.
Yes,
but you could tell, he'd taken out this full-page ad just to say, thanks, it's been great.
Well, that's charming. That's better than your average Tony Kaye full-page ad, isn't it?
I hate everyone, and it's not fair.
Stephen, always a privilege and a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you.